the books that have been given us by Joseph Smith and also Mauricio Berger, but prophets, of course, and the things that came forward at the time when Joseph Smith had translated the Book of Mormon, and we didn't start with the Book of Mormon because we're going to be studying that anyway today at a later time, and we've also gone over many of those things before, but not much has been said about the inspired version Bible when it was brought forth, and we know that the RLDS was the first to receive that, and in 1867, I think they printed that. But we will go through some basic principles about the inspired version.
Many of
and
you,
interesting points. Yeah,
many of you probably already know the history of how it all came about, and I have my copy of the Holy Scriptures, and in it is the preface. Now, I've had this book for more than 60 years, but to be honest, I had not read the preface through completely, or even had much of an idea what it said, because I usually go straight to what I'm looking for, or the study inside the Bible and how it all happened. But when we consider the actual way in which this came about, you can see that the hand of God was directing all the way through. It wasn't just that perhaps Joseph Smith Jr. thought that the scriptures weren't accurate enough and would like to do some corrections. But this preface, if you've never read it yourselves, it is a little long for us to present as a class, and I said that to Darren yesterday, but the highlights of what it was saying is what I would have liked to have presented. And it started actually in June 1830, and it finished the revision of the Bible by Joseph Smith Jr. was on July 2nd, 1833. So I'll leave it to Darren.
Yeah, it's all right. I think we had a comment or a question come in a minute ago, and I just wanted to address that before we got too far
Sure,
ahead.
okay.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we
can,
Sister Melba.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to share something that is part of our history that maybe gets a little forgotten sometimes. The RODS Church has the inspired version because of many reasons, but one reason is because of the foresight and sacrifice of Sister Emma. And when they were needing to, well, I guess it was when, during all the stuff with Far West and all of that, when the saints were crossing across from Missouri to Illinois, Sister Emma had sewn pockets into her skirt to put the translation, the transcript of the inspired version. And so not only was she carrying that on herself in her skirt and hidden and protected, she also had 2 children that she was carrying in her arms. And so we owe a lot to Emma for her foresight, her sacrifice, and the Lord protecting her as she protected that manuscript, and then also that she had the wisdom to know who to give it to when it was time. So I just, as a woman, just wanted to add that bit in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Melba.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm very delighted that you highlighted that, because I had also read the book on Emma Smith, and that it's so touching how difficult that journey was, because I believe it was frozen. The Mississippi was frozen, and that would have been an added burden to her you could just imagine carrying two children and this sacred writings or manuscript contained with her. And certainly it wouldn't have been an easy journey. And we are most grateful to the Lord that she did that and that we have the results. And I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a wonderful insight into the trials and tribulations that went through.
And the many
to get
times
that.
she was tried and encouraged to give them up, not only to the LDS, but I guess to others. But she was most adamant that she wasn't going to let them go until the time was right.
That's true. Excuse me. So some interesting points here. It was a direct revelation from God. The work on it commenced June 1830 and was completed on July 2nd, 1833. And Joseph was 28 years old. I don't know whether that was before when he started or he was 28 when he finished that.
When he finished.
When
yes.
he finished,
When
okay.
he finished, yes.
Yeah, you didn't tell me. Sorry.
Yep.
The manuscripts were kept by his widow Emma Smith, and till 1866, and she was 33. That was kept for 33 years. Finally printed by the RLDS Church in 1867, 7 years after Emma joined the reorganised church. So she would have joined in 1860 when it was formed,
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess she was
Yeah.
ensuring that the direction of the Lord would follow what would happen with the manuscript, and of course it did.
Yeah.
And we are all so blessed because of that sacrifice that she made in preserving it so long. And you could imagine the joy that she would have had to see the final result, and we have that in our hands today.
Yeah. Yes. And
Go on, you went there, but I'm sort of thinking that
Yeah.
for that reason, the RLDS Church had all the things necessary to carry the work forward, and it is so sad to see, in the later years, the changes that came, and
and we're going to find out about one of those changes shortly.
Yes, okay, right.
Okay. So many pages in the preface, which is what we were speaking about just before, is only in the hard copy book version, by the way, because I have a PDF version that's not in it. The many pages were taken up by learned scholars, professors and groups pointing out the difficulty in obtaining original scriptures, the documents of those original scriptures.
Yeah, of the Old and New Testaments we're talking about here. And when you read the preface, it goes into a lot of detail about learned scholars, and no doubt they were good people as well, and probably some questionable also. But the many contributions and corrections made to those that thought that it meant a certain way, and I guess this must have frustrated the Lord, because I'm going to read at a later part in our presentation what was written in the Book of Mormon in relation to this, and the reason why God was so adamant that the scriptures be correct, or as correct as possible.
Okay, so no originals were found in those documents when they're compiling of the Bibles before the King James.
We're talking about way back. I mean,
Yeah.
before 1500 and perhaps before that even, where there's only sketchy details of the scriptures in the early days.
So most Old and New Testaments have been written and rewritten many times. Therefore, their accuracy was in question at that time. And I guess the King James Version was the one that stood out amongst them all. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that from what I've seen from the book of Isaiah, written in the quotes from the book of Isaiah that Nephi made in the Book of Mormon, to me, it's amazing that the Bible has survived as well as it has, because if you compare the Bible, the King James, with what's written in the Book of Mormon, it's not too bad. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Bob. Yeah, I noted that as well. Although there's a lot of the precious things missing, it is not too bad, because that would be, I can see why that was given as the stone to work from when Joseph was doing the translation, that he was using that. And I think they call it the inspired, what was it? I forget the word that he used. Yeah, the King, something to do with the King James inspired or something version. But yeah, it was a blessing that we were able to get these words that were missing, that the Lord wanted added to the that were taken out and modified, or many things. And we've seen many of these modifications and missing items, especially in Isaiah, like you were saying, Brother Bob, with talking about when the sealed book and such were coming forward, which is also in Second Nephi, as we know. Yeah, we've got another comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Rex. It's very uncoincidental, I think, that we may get to the reading in the Book of Mormon, First Nephi chapter 3. I was just reading a little bit before class, and it talks about the things, the abominable church that has removed a lot of the things out of the Bible. So it's very interesting how the Spirit works, brings it together.
It certainly is. And I was reading those. Passages. I think we're going to get up to that shortly.
Yeah. Okay.
If not, please.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Thanks, Brother Rex.
Yeah. Thank you. And we got someone else. I think another comment there.
Yep.
Go ahead.
That was me. My computer was telling me my hand was still up, but it wasn't.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So we'll move on here. Do you want to read this, because my voice is about
yes.
to go?
Right. Joseph Smith Jr. worked diligently to present a more correct version of the Bible. He began this revision in 1830, and as we read before, he finished it by July 2, 1833. The original manuscripts indicate additional editing by Joseph Smith after that date. It was his intention to have the printing done, as evidenced from statements he made as late as 1841, and it's in D&C 108, 28 and 124, 88 to 90 in the LDS, concerning the urgency of this project. However, it was not published during his lifetime, and that we know. But there were so many things happening. I am amazed that what we have of those early years, we are so grateful because of the sacrifice and persecution and troubles that were directed by the devil against the Lord's work at that time.
Yeah. So this is the reference that was just given there.
Yeah.
I added this in if you want to read that, and I'll just move this out of the way, because if someone from the LDS wants to know that reference,
okay,
it's there down the bottom.
Good. Okay.
Okay. So we note that this was one of the things that was removed by the RLDS in the D&C at the 1970 World Conference, which was a bit concerning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, first of all, it was moved to the appendix in 1970 and then later totally removed in 1990. So those 2 years were milestones of change in the RLDS, visibly anyway, to the members. Now, do you want me to read this?
I'll try. I'll give it a go
Okay.
if I need you.
And William, by the way, is William Law.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let my servant William go and proclaim my everlasting gospel with a loud voice and with great joy, as he shall be moved upon by my spirit, unto the inhabitants of Warsaw, and also to the inhabitants of Carthage, and also unto the inhabitants of Burlington, and also unto the inhabitants of Madison, and await patiently and diligently for further instructions at my general conference, saith the Lord. If he will do my will, let him from henceforth hearken to the counsel of my servant Joseph, and with his interest support the cause of the poor, and publish the new translation of my holy word unto the inhabitants of the earth. And if he will do this, I will bless him with a multiplicity of blessings, that he shall not be forsaken, nor his seed be found begging bread. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty well all set that it would have been printed, apart from all the persecution that Joseph Smith Jr. was facing from that time forward.
Okay, I'll move on to the next one. If it'll go, maybe because I've got that up there now. Did this the other day. Try again. Yeah, oh, here we go.
There we go. Among the valuable manuscripts he left in the possession of his widow Emma was this work on the Bible, which he described as the New Translation. These manuscripts were preserved, and after Joseph Smith III became president of the reorganized church, Emma delivered them to a committee appointed by the General Conference of 1866 to procure the manuscripts. This committee consisted of William Marks, Israel L. Rogers, and William W. Blair. During 1866 to 1867, the Committee of Publication, that is those three, Joseph Smith III, Rogers and Robinson, had a printer's manuscript made. This was carefully compared with the originals and edited by the committee. From this printer's manuscript, the first edition of the Holy Scriptures was printed in December 1867.
Yeah.
So it certainly beyond the time and sadly after the martyrdom of Joseph and Hiram.
Yeah. And at that time, it would have been a big thing to get I noticed they didn't waste any time in getting it printed.
Yeah, once they got it in their hands.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine that this was also a part of the Lord not rushing anything to have that at that particular point of time till all the things with the reorganization taking place.
Okay. I'll give this a go.
Okay.
In view of Joseph Smith's In view of Joseph Smith's revelatory experience, it was natural that he should seek more light relative to the biblical text, especially as he came to realize the inadequacy of the available versions. Revelations concerning the creation and early history of mankind and the prophecy of Enoch were received between June and December 1830. The specific commandments authorizing the new translation are found in the Doctrine and Covenants. And this is some of those things from Doctrine and Covenants, and I've given the LDS references with these now so that that would be known. Did you want to?
Yeah, okay. I'll just quickly go over these. And the commandment I give to thee, Sidney Rigdon, that thou shalt write for him, Joseph Smith, and the scriptures shall be given even as they are in mine own bosom, to the salvation of mine own elect. And the references there too. Thou shalt ask, and my scriptures shall be given as I have appointed, and they shall be preserved in safety. And it is expedient that thou shouldest hold thy peace concerning them, and not teach them until thou hast received them in full. Once again, the reference is there, and that was in February 1831. And now, behold, I say to you, it shall not be given unto you to know any further concerning this chapter, Matthew 24, until the New Testament be translated, and in it all these things shall be made known. Wherefore I give unto you that you may now translate it, and that you may be prepared for the things to come. For verily I say unto you that great things await you.
Wow. And
Yeah.
they certainly did.
That's March 1831.
Yeah.
Remember that the church is here only 1 year old when this is given. So it would have been a very busy time for Joseph and Emma to be handling this important material and the development of the church, the planning, all the things that must take place.
Yeah. Okay. So 4 manuscripts were developed under the direction of Joseph Smith Jr. From these, the Committee of Publication prepared the text for the printer. These 4 manuscripts were excuse me.
1, a completely written out manuscript consisting of what is now Doctrine and Covenants, section 22 in the RLDS, or Moses chapter 1 in the LDS, and Genesis 1, 1 to 24, and 42a in the RLDS, and the other references there, Moses 2 to 8:30.
Yeah, well, I'll explain a bit. I added that in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I added this bit about the LDS because there is a little bit of a problem for the LDS that don't have the inspired version, because we know they use the King James more frequently. But there's certain bits of the inspired version from Moses chapter 1, which is D&C 22, as we know. And from chapter 2 onwards is Genesis up to chapter 8, verse 30, which is the equivalent Genesis 8, verse 18 in the inspired version. That's all they have. And if they have the King James version, it goes to chapter 6, verse 13. But we know many of those things in the King James are missing. The story about the information about Enoch.
These are
and
treasures
creation.
that were missed out.
Yeah.
Where we have the account of Enoch and the building of the city of Zion, and the promises to our day when Zion will return again. And these are things that are not, many of them, even in perhaps the LDS folk, have not read much of that detail.
Yeah, unless they read the Pearl of Great Price, which is a shame, because I think many probably don't read that very often. They read the Book of Mormon and the King James Bible, but forget about the other scriptures that they have. And it's worth noting that Moses in the Pearl of Great Price is a treasure that needs to be read. Okay, so the remainder, I put here, the remainder of the biblical text onwards for LDS relies solely on the King James version from that point, which is sad because there's so many changes.
Yeah.
Except for Matthew chapters 23, verses 39 to 41, and all of chapter 24, which they call it Matthew under the just Joseph Smith Matthew, which is really chapter 24, I think. But it does have those end of those chapters 23, 39 to 41. I checked that yesterday. Another manuscript, including Doctrine and Covenants, section 22, RLDS, and recommended changes covering all of the Old Testament. And if it was me, I would actually start the Bible with section 22 RLDS because, or Moses chapter 1, that is. I would start it with that because there's so much information that Moses received, as we know before he received the information about creation. And I think it should be all sewn together to make it correct. Anyway, a fully written revision of Matthew 1, verse 1 to 2671, and I've got not on all LDS scriptures, and a subsequent manuscript revising and improving number 3 and indicating changes to be made in other portions of the New Testament. Okay.
The first document in the Old Testament manuscripts, now Doctrine and Covenants, section 22. You hear this a lot, this section 22, and I agree with Darren. It was pointed out that even in my years, none of this was really highlighted in the RLDS anyway. And in the Book of Moses, Pearl of Great Price, chapter 1, LDS, it was not incorporated as part of the biblical text. This, however, has appeared in all editions as an introductory revelation in the inspired version.
And it does, yeah. We noted that.
It's noted in mine anyway, and no doubt I didn't compare it with other versions we have of the inspired version. Yep.
But
mine, incidentally, is a 1944 publication of the inspired version, and well, maybe even July 49.
Yep.
Okay.
The process by which this text was derived deserves comment. As noted, certain completely new portions were given in the form of revelatory documents and included in the text. For example, the larger share of chapters 5, 6, and 7 in Genesis in the manuscripts. You might have to take
I'll take over. In the manuscripts, the biblical text of both Old and New Testament was revised and written out word for word to Genesis 24:73 and John 6:5, respectively. Thereafter, only the places where the corrections were to be made were noted. Sidney Rigdon and John Whitmer appear to have shared the major work of the transcription with occasional help from Emma Smith and Oliver Cowdery.
Yeah, it's interesting to know all the background on this, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good that the history has got this recorded.
I'll give it a try. Now I've had it. Excuse me. The word translation is used consistently by Joseph Smith Jr. to describe this work, and although this use of the word has later become somewhat obsolete, it serves to illustrate the method by which the text was determined. An older meaning of translation carries the connotation of changing a verbal expression into other forms, even in the same language. It appears that apart from the revelatory form of some portions, such as those mentioned, the major part of the new version was arrived at through a prayerful, analytical approach, in most places following the language form and arrangement of the King James Version. Many books and chapters were marked correct and therefore follow the authorized version. Okay. The text, as published in 1867, was reprinted many times until 1944, when a corrected edition was prepared under the direction of the First Presidency and the Board of Publication. This corrected edition was found to be necessary in order to rectify certain spelling, punctuation, and errors in grammar, together with other omissions. Most of the 1944 corrections brought the text into greater harmony with the original manuscripts, as the following illustrations demonstrate.
I'll do it if you like, Darren.
It's okay.
I better not.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can see here, I may not go through all of them. If you want to have a look at these, but you can see that there's the original manuscripts and 1944 edition are on the right-hand side there. And the 1867 edition, I don't know why they did it that way around, but you can see the wording is slightly changed. Like the first one, Genesis chapter 8, verse 53 there. Originally it said, sent forth the dove out, and they put in 1867 it was just sent the dove out. And if you go down to Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 2 verse 5 it says in the original was his wicked ways, and it was changed to his own wicked ways. And where was an interesting one? Oh yeah, Isaiah 34:7 I thought was interesting, because the original manuscript said reem, R-E-E-M, but in the 1867 edition it was said unicorn. So I don't know how they came to that
Okay.
understanding, but maybe that's something. But you can see Matthew 13 verse 18 there also, and catch us away that which is, and taketh away that which. So you can see some of the language.
Yeah, where it was changed there.
Yeah. But I don't think anything too dramatic.
No.
Yeah.
Though we haven't got it on the screen, an interesting one was the first paragraph of the book of John. That's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah.
You know, the one with in the beginning was the Word.
Yeah, that was
if
interesting.
You'd like to compare that sometime. It's quite an
yeah,
interesting.
it is. Yeah, we noted that, and we will be bringing that in a class at a later stage.
Yeah, not today.
About the John in the inspired version.
Okay.
So the inspired version of the King James Version was prepared by the prophet Joseph Smith Jr. He became aware of the need for such a revision in 1829 during the translation of the Book of Mormon. The Bible was described by the prophet Nephi in the Book of Mormon. He was told that many parts which are plain and most precious, and also many covenants of the Lord have they taken away from the book. And I think that's what Brother Rex was
reading in that
or something similar. Anyway, I know
chapter of
there's quite a few written in First Nephi that I discovered yesterday. But I put the LDS reference there as well. So that's interesting. Now, in June of 1830, Joseph Smith Jr. received the word of God as it was revealed to Moses. The Lord told Moses that at a later time the children of men shall esteem my words as naught, and take many of them from the book which thou shalt write. And that's interesting, because
that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened. And Doctrine and Covenants, that's in section 22, of course, and Moses chapter 1 in the LDS. So that was interesting. Several early Christian writers gave evidence that changes had been made in the Bible at a very early day. Justin Martyr, who wrote about a century after Christ, claimed that the Jews have altogether taken away many scriptures from the translation. And that's the Septuagint. I don't know how you pronounce it.
What's the pronunciation?
Yeah,
I had troubles with that. Anybody help us with the pronunciation?
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe that's Septuagint.
Oh, there you go.
Septuagint.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you, Brother Rex.
that's well done.
Top of the class,
Rex. Yeah. Sounds better than mine. Yeah. Affected by those 70 elders who were with Ptolemy, and by which this very man Jesus, who was crucified, is proved to have been set forth expressly as God and as man, as being crucified and as dying. Justin Martyr dialogue, that's taken from Justin Martyr dialogue with Trypho, chapter 71. I don't know the book.
Yeah.
But now Origin, I don't know whether that's Origin or Oregon, who spent his life collecting and comparing the different translation editions, also testified that the Jews removed parts of the Old Testament. He wrote, "Our copies are very much fuller than the Hebrew." So that's interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
just noting our time.
Yeah.
We may.
Yeah, we'll finish up soon. I didn't know how much we'd get through today.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So Gnostic heretics in the early Christian church also corrupted copies of the scriptures as documented by Ignatius, Clement of Alexandria, Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, we've got Tertullian, Origin, as we just read, and others. Christian historian Eusebius quoted an unknown author, "So it was that they laid hands unblushingly on the Holy Scriptures, claiming to have corrected them." Polemic against Archiman, quoted by Eusebius in the History of the Church, Book 5, Chapter 28. I guess that's our History of the
that'd
Church,
be,
the
I guess, on
RLDS.
the RLDS.
Yeah, which is interesting. A lot of words
Any
there.
comments so far? But
Yeah.
all we're doing by this is
Yeah,
presenting
the background on
the
it.
background to why the inspired version became, done by the Lord and presented to Joseph Smith.
Yeah. So this is a development of the inspired version. The work of translation began in the later half of 1830 and was completed, as we know, by July 2nd, 1833. Although the manuscripts indicate additional editing by Joseph after that date, many sections in the Doctrine and Covenants give the Lord instructions regarding the translation, and I won't go through all those references there, but I've actually added the LDS ones in last night. That took a while.
Okay.
And if you pause the screen, if you're watching this at a later date, you can look up those scripture references there. We'll move on here. Although the work is referred to as a translation, it should be understood that the process of receiving the text was primarily revelatory, as opposed to the modern definition of scholarly conversion of a writing from one language to another. The Doctrine and Covenants indicates the inspired and revelatory nature of the work. The scriptures shall be given even as they are in mine own bosom to the salvation of my own elect.
Yeah, that's to me,
Yeah.
that was the authority that overrides all others who may have their education and research presented in favour of their outcome, whereas this is the Lord stating what he wanted to be restored to his original scripture given to Moses and others, who Enoch and many others.
Yep. Oh, we've got a comment. Yes.
Well, if there's time, I just wanted to say I have a greater appreciation for how the Lord has preserved the fullness of the gospel in the restoration. We can see now in the sealed book is the example I'm referring to, the role of those dashes.
Yes.
If the dashes had been revealed when Joseph first translated the plates in 1820, not 29. From what I understand from Brother Mauricio, most of that would have been rejected and probably altered, removed, or whatever. But now the Lord, in his cleverness, has preserved that doctrine in the dashes, and now there's a people that are willing and able and mature enough or prepared to accept what's in the dashes. And so it's preserved that doctrine. And so I can see where where it said that the restoration or the restoration, the Book of Mormon contains the fullness of the gospel.
Yeah.
I can see because some of it's hidden or was hidden
Yeah.
and still is. And we just need to understand that we don't have it all yet.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Bob.
I think we all need to be in our praise to the Lord.
Yeah.
Thank him for his wisdom
Yes.
in knowing the correct presentation of his word is done through his scripture, and that if that is in its fullness, there is little be left to there's no doubt. In other words, there is a path, and it leads you directly to the rod of iron, and because it is the rod of iron, and it's strengthening the rod of iron because it's back to its original form and its purity. So I see it as a great reason for thanks to the Lord.
And just getting back to Brother Bob's comment there, that this is the reason why the Lord describes that he gives us things line upon line and precept upon precept, and because in another bit of scripture, it always reminds me also when he says you're young, you cannot bear all things right now, and another thing also that we must have milk before we have meat, and these are the things that that we got to grow in understanding and gradual understanding of these things, and it's a wise, when he says I'm keeping these for a wise future purpose or something like that, which you know not, this is the reasons. So
he knows the outcome.
knows.
He before the beginning, even, you know.
Yeah. So we thank you for that comment too, Brother Bob. Okay. Do you want to read this bit, or do you want me?
I can do it. Some portions considered of material given by direct revelation and inserted into the original, such as the majority of chapters 4 through 7 of Genesis in the inspired version. That includes the life and prophecy of Enoch. In many other places, the work appears to have been done through a prayerful, analytical approach, with smaller corrections being made by inspired insight, showing or following rather the language, form, and the arrangement of the King James text.
Yeah. I know we're getting short on time. Did you want us to finish at that, Brother Rex, or just go a couple more?
How much do you think you have left?
I'll just have a look. I'm probably about 5 or 6 away, but I could finish any time if we need time. I know we've got the Book of Mormon reading coming up now, so maybe just one more page.
Either way you want to do it, I'm fine with.
Or do you want to finish up here?
We'll go one more.
One more? Okay. All right. We'll finish with this next page.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So 4 handwritten manuscripts were developed under Joseph Smith's direction. One, of course, was D&C 22, Moses chapter 1. And we went through this before with Genesis chapter 1 through to chapter 24:42. And I explained about the Moses in the LDS, Pearl of Great Price. Written in full with individual notations of the remainder of the Old Testament, March 8, 1831 to July 2nd, 1833. So we've got Matthew chapter 1, verses 1 to 2671, written in full on March 8 through to June 19th, 1831. Gee, there's a lot of information was coming through.
Yeah.
And number 4 is Matthew 1:1 to John 5:48, written in full with individual notations for the remainder of the New Testament. April 4, 1831 to February 2nd, 1833. So that took some time to come through. Yeah.
It's good that we have even the dates recorded by those that were transcribing the text by Joseph Smith Jr.
I would love to have them on the
Oh,
seal book.
yes.
The seal book dates which
Yeah,
sections were
this
done
is
on
good.
what date, and that'd be lovely. The Joseph Smith Family Bible was used during the translation. It would have been the King James,
Yeah.
and contains markings indicating where certain words were to be inserted or replaced.
Incidentally, yesterday when I was reading this, it said that when Emma gave the manuscripts, she also gave that family Bible to those of the RLDS to ensure when it went to the printers that it would have those notations referred and corrected, that were there to ensure the correct was presented for printing. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you. We didn't get all the way through.
No,
It
that
was
it's
wishful
an interesting
thinking.
one, but it's certainly one that for anybody that reads scripture or has if you do go through that preface, it's about 3 pages, and there's a lot of detail, and I had a lot of trouble trying to pronounce some of the
Names and words.
the names of people who were contributors to those corrections in the Bible in the early days, but it's all there, and you can get a better picture than perhaps even that we've presented this morning. But you can see the hand of the Lord at work in His work to ensure that the information we present to the world is as accurate as it can be possibly made, assisted by the Lord's hand.
Yeah, and just before we finish totally, I just wanted to thank everyone for their comments and that, but also that this class was made in a very short time yesterday, because we realised we didn't have a complete class with the finishing of D&C 22. There was only about 4 or 5 verses to go, and I thought, well, people would read that in their own time anyway. And
22 is mentioned a lot in the preface anyway.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So
the importance of it.
But we will get into the Genesis part of that at a later date, which is very interesting, and we can see the link to the seal book in that when we present that. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.